this is like one of the sports. I come from a tennis background, and it's a bit more elite. It's a bit more secluded. Like it keeps people at a distance, which is quite difficult.
Like I saw one of RFK and Kid Rock the other day playing pickleball. I don't know. It seems like everyone's kind of, even down to like NBA players, the Kevin Durant's and I think that they have their place in it.
But as far as systems go, it kind of takes us back to, like one of the issues with pickleball, not an issue, it's just something like a challenge that people have come across, is that something like with tennis, there's like a USTA, or there's like an official association based around it, where with pickleball, it's been very diversified, and there's been a lot of different groups and a lot of different sections and subdivisions that come from pickleball, and they all want to approach it.
So good afternoon, my name is Ankit, and we're going to talk about pickleball. And to talk about pickleball, because mostly the stuff that we have covered is related to India, but today we're going to talk about outside India, what's happening outside India, what's happening in Southeast Asia. And to talk on this perspective, I have Ryan and Jaron with me, and they are actually the co-founders of Pickleball Passport. So thank you guys. Thank you for saying yes for this interview. I'll speak very less. I'll just ask a question to you, and I want your perspective on this. So first question that to both of you, I would love to ask you that how do you see India as a market? Because the sport is growing very fastly in this country. After cricket, which is like a religion in this country, this sport is projected to become the second most popular sport by 2031. So what's your projection on it? How do you see this sport in India, pickleball?
Yeah, as far as India goes, this sport has absolutely taken off like crazy. I've like the places that I've been able to travel, Dubai, Malaysia. We're located in Thailand. Being able to see this across the board and having the ability to meet all different players from different parts of India, not just like Mumbai, for instance, but everywhere from Kolkata and all over. It's there's a lot of potential here, and so it's exciting. I don't know if the West has been able to pick up on it as pick up on what India is doing with pickleball, but we know that there's a big wave coming in, and it's just a matter of time before it takes off. So when we look at Southeast Asia as a whole, everything from Malaysia to Vietnam, Thailand is still in those beginning stages as well. But a lot of potential here.
Talk about a little bit about Southeast Asia for our audience, which are majorly an Indian audience. Ryan, could you just elaborate us what's happening in Southeast Asia, especially related to pickleball? What are the challenges also there, and what are the good things about Southeast Asia, like especially in Thailand, how this sport is picking up?
Yeah, so I think it's a very community-driven sport, and we've seen that. Just like the 20-year-old and the 70-year-old can both play and both have great rallies and be able to catch a drink afterwards. There's good banter, there's good community, and the infrastructure in Thailand is awesome as well. They already have Muay Thai and things like that. But I think this fits right in with what sports are already here, and capturing what's already here and just building on that.
I want to ask you both, what we have seen in terms of projection, people are now investing on sports which is based on experience. They just don't want to play the sport. They want to enjoy the sport. They want to enjoy the tourism and everything. And pickleball definitely fits into that criteria. So how do you see this Southeast Asia or Pickleball Passport? Could you just tell us a little bit about Pickleball Passport, how it is helping to get that kind of experience for people? Because the Gen Z that we are targeting, the new audience that we have, they invest mostly on experience now.
Yeah, this is a great question, and kind of elaborating to what Ryan was just mentioning in the prior question. This is like one of the sports. I come from a tennis background, and it's a bit more elite. It's a bit more secluded. Like it keeps people at a distance, which is quite difficult. Same thing with cricket, right? There's cricket clubs. People will play it, but then there's like this separation that exists. Whereas with pickleball, this community aspect is so massive. And it's why I believe that, especially after COVID, it's really taken off, because it's allowed people to come together, still be close enough, and enjoy a game where It's not incredibly long, right? It's 11 points on average, right? And you get to move your eyes very quickly. We live in a very fast world, so there's a lot of pluses that really come with pickleball as a game in the world that we're living in today. And then if you add travel on top of that with how things are growing, and the East is really making a huge comeback right now. It's why Ryan and I both are over here, because there's just so much infrastructure being developed, and it's making a huge comeback. And as I was mentioning before, the West doesn't really have this knowledge. I mean, some people do, but very low amount of Americans, for instance, I'll just speak for America, have even a passport, right? They may go down to Mexico or Caribbean or maybe up to Canada, but they haven't really explored this part of the world. And once that does catch flame, I believe that it's going to really, really take off. And so hopefully things like India, and obviously here in Southeast Asia, people aren't just coming for the typical tourism of what you hear about Thailand or other places around here, because it's less expensive and it's more affordable, but because there is actually an attraction around things like pickleball and good sport, which is really making its headway now. So we're on the front edge of that.
Great. So Ryan, I have two questions for you. I want to know about what's happening with players, because in India, literally after 25 to 30 top players, the players who falls in middle tier, or the person who's just started playing professional pickleball, they are struggling to sustain in terms of revenue, in terms of sponsorship. They could not play after 1 year, 2 year. Is it the same thing happening in Southeast Asia also? And can you just tell us, to our viewers, about Pickleball Passport? Is Pickleball Passport is building an ecosystem? What exactly is Pickleball Passport?
Yeah, so the first one there, I guess Jaron can touch on this too, because he's an amateur pickleball player himself. I play a little bit more casually, but I think, like you've mentioned in some of your other articles, like there is, it seems like it's very top heavy right now, and it's obviously, it's still a growing sport, so it's I think naturally it's going to find a way to make it down to these more amateur players, because we need to have a pipeline of good players moving up into the more pro type setting. But as far as the Pickleball Passport, our ecosystem that we're building right now is focused mainly on Thailand, just because we've been here for a while. We've been shaking the hands. We've been we're pretty much building a travel experience that is bringing Americans or Westerners over to Thailand and Southeast Asia to open them up, through pickleball, but open them up to the East. Just like Jaron said, 20-25% of Americans have passports. So I think after COVID and things like that, like people really looking for that connection, and they're looking to, just more get a little bit more than what's just on their TV screen or on their Instagram feed. So we're trying to curate just a community and a travel ecosystem that people can feel proud to be a part of.
Yeah. Jan, you want to add something on this?
Yeah, I'll just add in terms of it's a great question, because it's something that keeps coming up, and with the other partners and networks that we're affiliated with, it's the crowd from the 2.5 to, I would go maybe even 3.0, but the 3.0 duper all the way up to maybe a 4.5 duper that make up about 80% of the pickleball market, right? These are the people that actually allow this sport to exist and gives us a reason why we go out and really enjoy it. Now, we do have these pros, right? Everybody knows their names, and they get this kind of limelight, which is great, and we support it, but they only make a very small percentage of what's actually in the sport. So this sport is great because it encourages people to stay healthy, to get out, whether they're trying to lose weight, start to get more connected and have a community and stuff. There's so many benefits to it. And so our goal and what we're trying to do is, only because I am like a semi-pro, essentially. I have a sponsorship. I'm with Yola. so I'm able to like see both sides of this, and curating a market that allows people to really crossbreed those two, like those above a 5.0 and those below, is my biggest goal moving into the future, instead of having those so separated and secluded from each other. That's what really creates this environment and this atmosphere around it.
Well, I want to ask you like this question to both of you because you've been associated with this ecosystem. One thing I was researching and I found the big gap in India. There is no content when it comes to pickleball. Consuming content on YouTube, consuming content on Instagram. Yes, there are different channels in America. There are different podcasts where we can just have an understanding about the game, but nothing as specific to Indian audience. Nothing as specific to other countries. What I've seen, there's a huge gap in that. And also there's a rise of OTT. There is a rise of, like, in India, I don't know, you guys must have understood it in America or some other places, but in India, we don't watch television now. Consuming content on mobile phone, we are consuming content on OTT. So what's your take, like both of you? I want your interesting perspective of this, that how can we make kind of content which is engaging to Indian audience as well as Southeast Asian audience, as well as how can we make them learn about this sport, because the information is very less. There's a huge gap.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think there's an aspect of it where there has to be some sort of stardom that comes in. Like there needs to be some sort of fan club. In the US. Obviously, everybody looks at the West, and so you see people like the Ben Johns and the Haydens and all these guys, and they kind of like they take this limelight where we haven't seen that as much in the rest of the world. Obviously, like there's the Kwangdons and the other people that are, they kind of grab the attention of where they're from, and they make appearances in the US. And maybe that's what it takes is for some of these people, like from India, for instance, like whether it's Vinay or Vanchik or any of these guys, to go over to the US and really like get the crowd behind them, and people like rallying behind them. But I think beyond that, it needs to, I think it needs to go to the younger crowd. I think more people in the younger societies and groups need to latch onto this as not just like a way out or a way to kind of rise to some kind of fame, but just to have more interaction around it. And that's something we've seen in the West where, like Ryan had mentioned as well, and it's just a big part of how we see what we're building at Pickleball Passport is, it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or you're 75 or 80 years old. Like you can find a way to play with each other. And so to get this community rallying around pickleball, instead of having this separation of like, oh, well, these are the guys that play, and then these are the only people we need to pay attention to. It's when everybody gets to join in and, take pictures of themselves and make videos of themselves around pickleball that really brings the joy into this sport. And then once people latch onto it, then they'll say, oh, I love this and I want to consume more of it. So
yep.
Yeah, I would even go further, like the meme culture is so big, just I think worldwide, right? And I think at least the stuff that I've seen do well in the US, and I haven't specifically gone into like India's pickleball content, but like really like laughing at yourself or laughing at things in the game that really make it so personable, and just kind of like how bad your pickleball addiction is, or these different things that pickleball guys do that's just like, that's hilarious to me. As I don't have quite the bug that Jaron has, but like I said, I'm getting there, just consuming content like these guys, Friday Pickleball, if you've seen them, something like that, where it's very memeable. It's anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
I have 2 more questions which I would like to ask from both of you. The future belongs to the influencers, like sports influencers, fitness influencers. They are big time in India. I don't know how much you know about the ecosystem in India, but the actors today have the same pedestal like the influencers have. So recently the league was organized. A lot of influencers were invited in India and Mumbai, and they used to promote the content. So what's your take on influencers taking this sport, driving this sport through? As well as I want to add about the artificial intelligence. How do you think that AI will drive this sport further? So what is the amalgamation of these two taking the sport further?
Ryan, if you want to go first, I'll answer second.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen some stardom, some famous people in the U.S. as well. You know, they'll like I saw one of RFK and Kid Rock the other day playing pickleball. Um, I don't know. You know, it seems like everyone's kind of you know, even down to like NBA players, the Kevin Durant's and and I think that they have their place in it, but I think also like it's going to have its own, like you said, it's going to have its own sphere of influence as well, and that's what makes it so special. Yeah, what you got anything to add to that, Jaron?
Yeah, I think that in terms of you know, this is the world that we live in today, where everybody watches movies, whether it's Netflix, whether it's their shows, and they will just pay attention to those that are in front of a screen and can act natural in front of a screen. So when you get actors or politicians or athletes or anyone that's in this space to pick up a paddle and come into pickleball and really encourage others to be in this kind of light, I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it should be the only thing, but I think the more that we can encourage the Shah Rukh Khans and the other people of India to come in and say, hey, pick up a paddle and let's do this thing, that would be fantastic. You know, even if it's soccer players or cricket players or other people, it just gives people a reason to be like, yeah, like I can give it a go as well. So I think it's a good thing. You know, especially in the Asian world, there's like, you know, these fan clubs that everybody is kind of like hordes around them, and it's a beautiful thing to witness, but anybody can do it, and I think it's encouraging. And then as far as AI goes and how it's going to shape it, the amount of technology that's coming out right now, not only for the game itself, everything from like line calls to cameras to everything else that's being shaped, that's one side of it. If we're just going to talk about the content side of it and how, like, you know, videos and stuff will be created, I think that everybody's going to want real substance. And so if people can create really outgoing videos where it captures people's attention, where somebody's able to like hit the ball and put some flames behind it, or, you know, something crazy and really just drives people into this sport that says like, this can actually be fun, and they can kind of feel like they can emulate it, or any kind of editor or anybody can go in and start adding certain things to the game and make it fun. We'll probably start seeing like video games come out not too far behind it. So yeah.
Jaron, Ryan, I have a question for you. Like, why cricket is very popular in India is because it is played like every street. It is played. You don't need specific kind of equipment to play this game. There's a specific word of mouth. It has got a rich history. It has taken over the time to become so popular. And I was just going through. I was just thinking, how can this pickleball become the second most popular sport? For that, everybody has to play this sport. We have a massive population of 1.5 billion people, and we need at least 20-30% people to play this sport. I want to understand your perspective specifically in reference to Southeast Asia, because in America this game is picking big time. Newspapers are reporting about it. But what's your perspective? Like, you both perspective, because one, you have played, other you are associated with this ecosystem. How can we make this sport so popular in terms of word of mouth, in terms of grassroots level, in terms of just driving this sport? What we can do? What are some of the easy steps that we can take up as a stakeholder to drive this sport in Southeast Asia?
Yeah. Ryan, if you don't mind, I'll answer this one first, and then if you want to add anything. So being able to travel to a country like Malaysia, I'm not sure if you're aware of what's going on in Kuala Lumpur, but they have grabbed this sport called pickleball and put it under their wing like I've never seen anywhere else. In a matter of, I was there like 5 years ago, and I didn't even hear about pickleball. It wasn't even a thing. And within a matter of 2-3 years, I don't even know how many are in Kuala Lumpur itself, but like literally hundreds of, not courts, but we're talking facilities, right? And these aren't just backyard facilities where some people slap some cement together. Like they're real facilities. And now it's becoming a curriculum in their schools, which is such a powerful thing to see. And I think something like India, that, you know, obviously comes from a very strong educational background. Like half of my lineage is from India, right? And so when I look at how important education is, being able to implement something like pickleball, which can be inclusive for every single person and it's not extremely expensive. All you need is a floor and a makeshift net and a few lines and you're good to go. Whereas something like tennis, it does have a little bit more of this elite feel to it, and it has to, very rule oriented. I feel like bringing something like pickleball into schools and just changing some of the grounding that is around, whether it's an old basketball court or an old field or something like that, where people can begin to pick up this sport, even in their pastime. That's where it's really going to be able to shine. And it's really shown in a place like Malaysia when I was there. And then even in the Philippines, people will just take old warehouses, or they'll just take old badminton courts, or, people don't use a lot of this stuff anymore. And a couple of investors come together and say, let's just put some courts in. And it's not huge like a tennis court, and you don't need all this space. It's something that allows you to fit quite a bit in just a small area. And so those investors, this is a shout out, I guess, to the investors of India and people around there to band together, those that have money to find these warehouses or find these open places and really just put something together, and people will guaranteed show up. It's one of the greatest sports for community, and it just builds such great networks around it. So that's what I would encourage the people of India, but everywhere around the world. It's an incredible sport for that. So Ryan, you can add whatever else as well.
Yeah, I think just like to make it more accessible too, like just so you're not paying all this money for court time, right? I feel like that's a very big one, is like they want to charge you for court time, but it's like, okay, there can be those club members that are, maybe paying a rate that's a little bit better for those peak times, but like on these shoulder hours or these non-peak times, like they can be filled with people like school children and people that want to play, so that they can get their facility used, and also gives everyone access, and having plenty of rental equipment if people don't have equipment to start, and just really get the momentum and the like you said, Jaron, like get them thinking about it, get them excited about it. I think it's a very beginner friendly sport. So like even people that are, my mom's Indian herself, she grew up in Kolkata, and like she doesn't have that active drive as much as she did when she was younger. And you just see kind of sometimes people, they don't really have the hobbies that they used to, and these dang black mirrors that we have, that we all are attached to, being able to get them outside of their homes and with their communities, and even, older ladies and older men, they can all come together and even at a very low level enjoy this sport, get a little sweat, get a little bit of movement, have a little bit of chatter, go back, have some chai together, have your food together, and like you call it a night. And it's so much more healthy for a community to do this. So I encourage everybody to just, even if it's starting small, to just do it, put it in a neighborhood and see what happens.
Great. Last question that I have with you guys, and it's again a two-part question. I want to know about the vision of Pickleball Passport in next 5 to 7 years, which you guys have. You want to share with us, to our audience. And another thing that I want to ask you about this, India is definitely there are a lot of sports, but again, the cricket comes at the number one place. So definitely word of mouth is there. Definitely grassroots level we need to work. The problem with us is that we are not doing majorly well apart from cricket, because there are not systems in place. If the systems are not in place, we'll not be able to find out the talent, scout talent, and make them play and reach to the next level. So what's your suggestion? Some of the suggestions how we can build the systems properly in place in India, especially in pickleball, and what is the vision of Pickleball Passport for next 5 to 7 years? That's my last question.
Yeah, I'll let Ryan do the latter question. I'll do the first question. Ryan can go into depth about what our vision is for Pickleball Passport. But as far as systems go, it kind of takes us back to, like one of the issues with pickleball, not an issue, it's just something like a challenge that people have come across, is that something like with tennis, there's like a USTA, or there's like an official association based around it, where with pickleball, it's been very diversified, and there's been a lot of different groups and a lot of different sections and subdivisions that come from pickleball, and they all want to approach it somewhat in a different way and do it their own kind of with their own taste to it. Not that the game itself changes, but maybe the scoring or how they approach it, things like that, where if we can get more people on board and have it be like an official representation, I think that then across the board, it's going to do very well, because, you know, pickleball is something, as well as padel, is going to be introduced in the 2030 Olympics. And this is huge for the sport. We all wish that it was in this year's Olympics, right? Because it's in LA and America would have been running that for sure, but that's not the case. So we have another 4 years to really band together and create a sound infrastructure around. Obviously, the U.S. has its own right now. It's mainly like the PPA and the APP tours. Those are the ones that kind of dominate the space. And those are well structured. We have like all the big guys around it, and people like to follow those tours. But amongst Asia and other places, it's just very diversified. And so being able to kind of band together, maybe just as like an Asia one or a Southeast Asia, and then an India and Middle East or anything that's like in that area where they can all kind of have their own way of approaching it. I think that will band us together instead of having players have to kind of like jump around in order for it to make it work. In Malaysia, there was just the APP came to Malaysia, and I believe they're trying to have it in Mumbai this year as well, which would be fantastic, because then people as a whole can now adopt the way that we see it in the US and bring that now to places like India and Malaysia and say, this is now a staple. This is kind of like this is how we should structure it. This is how it can look. This is how the organizers and everybody else around it can come together and create something good, instead of, sometimes with sports, there's greed and there's other people that kind of, try to dominate that space, and we don't want to see that. So that's my take on that, and I'll let Ryan kind of tell you guys what our vision for Pickleball Passport is.
Yeah, so Pickleball Passport, like I guess we've kind of mentioned a little bit already, but we want it to be a travel ecosystem, obviously for. It's a lot of, like Jaron was saying, there's a lot of 80% of the market is those 2.5 to 4.0 type players. So we want to make it accessible for everyone to travel around the world. Obviously, we're starting here in Thailand and in Southeast Asia, but we'd like to be able to offer these trips, all over the world. Most, in places that the West doesn't have exposure to. Because, of whatever, like, I feel like we're just very isolated sometimes over in the US for whatever reason, but like, just get people out of their day-to-days and create like obviously the trips now, but have like an app that people can get on, and, where's the places that everyone's playing? Where can I find a game? Where can I find an open play? Obviously it's fragmented in that way too. There's other people doing this, but places that have some vetting behind them, like, hey, if you go here, these people are great. This community is great. And just, I think build that, so people feel comfortable traveling, like I said, mostly the Westerners, but anyone can get on there and feel comfortable traveling wherever they want to travel and play pickleball.
I think one of the biggest issues that with pickleball, because it is still so small and there's still so much growth around it. You can go to a beach, you can go to a field, and you can usually find somebody playing soccer, or you can go to a basketball court and you can find somebody playing basketball, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, let me just jump in. With pickleball, it's like it's still so small that not enough people are able to create these communities unless they find a specific Facebook group, or they get on Reclub or something like that, and those can be kind of slow or clunky, or not that smooth of a interface for people to really connect. And so, including something like travel, which is transformative in itself. Whenever you go to a new country, whenever you go to a new place, there's a part of you that comes alive and you're excited and you want to meet people. And to add that with something as fun as pickleball, where other people are also excited and ready to go have fun and experience life. We just like the idea came about, and it's just something we want to see go really, really far. As Ryan mentioned, over the next 3 to 5 years, we're planning on not only scaling and going to other places, not just Thailand, like all over the world, but also to have an interface. That's why it's called the Pickleball Passport. We're essentially gamifying this thing called pickleball, where you can go to different places, collect a stamp, and really say, like, I've been around the world playing pickleball at all these fantastic places, really having a good community based around it. So,
yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jaron. Thanks, Ryan. I think it was great perspective. I think I have learned so many things, and I hope when this interview is out, people would love this interview also. And it's my request, whenever you come to India, please come to our office also. We're in Delhi, capital of India, so we can do a detailed podcast. And if you love this conversation, I would request you to come back again, and we'll do because I've got so many questions that I wanted to ask, but I could not ask because I think the moment we keep it short, people will watch it. I've got questions about US market, about questions about Indian market, but hope so we meet again and we can discuss this in later. But thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
Certainly, Ankit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
you. Thanks a lot.